Michael Thompson stood at the massive window of the transport ship, watching as Earth grew smaller behind him. His hands were sweating. In just a few hours, he would become the first human student at the Stellar Academy of Sciences. Quite a view, isn't it? Captain Rogers walked up beside him. The old spacer had been making this run for 20 years, but this was his first time carrying a human passenger. "You nervous, kid?" "A little," Michael admitted. He was 17, tall for his age, with brown hair and strong shoulders from years of swimming. "Did you see how those alien officials looked at me during boarding?" The captain laughed. "Can't blame them. Most species out there evolved on nice, safe worlds. To them, Earth is practically hell. Class 12 Deathworld, they call it. Makes us humans pretty scary to them." Michael nodded. He'd studied this in his preparation classes. Earth, with its high gravity, extreme weather, and abundance of predators, had shaped humans into something the galaxy found terrifying. Their endurance, strength, and resistance to injury were far beyond what most species could handle. The transport ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a slight shudder. There, floating in the darkness of space, was Station Lumina. It looked like a giant silver snowflake, its 8 arms spreading out from a central hub, all gleaming with lights and covered in clear domes. "Home sweet home for the next year," Captain Rogers said. "The Stellar Academy takes up most of the station's educational sector." As they docked, Michael grabbed his bags, specially reinforced to handle Earth normal gravity. His heart was pounding as he walked through the airlock. The station's gravity was set lower than Earth's, making him feel strangely light on his feet. A small group waited in the reception area. Michael saw at least 5 different species. There was a tall, willowy being with blue-tinted transparent skin, a short creature that seemed to be made of crystal, and something that looked like a floating jellyfish. Standing in front of them was another human, the first he'd seen besides Captain Rogers since leaving Earth. "Welcome to Station Lumina, Michael." The woman stepped forward with a warm smile. "I'm Professor Amanda Wells, Earth Sciences Department. I'll be your advisor during your stay here." The alien officials behind her shifted nervously as Michael approached. He could hear them whispering. "Look at the muscle density. Those teeth, definitely a predator species. Are we sure about this program?" Professor Wells shot them a look, and the whispers stopped. "Michael is here as part of the Galactic Federation's Interspecies Educational Exchange Program," she said firmly. "Earth may be a death world, but humans are full members of the Federation now." One of the aliens, the crystalline one, stepped forward. Its faceted surface caught the light as it moved. "Of course, Professor. Mr. Thompson, I am Dean Brightcut. We are honored to have you as our first human student." Michael noticed the slight pause but kept his face friendly. He practiced his smile in the mirror for weeks, making sure it didn't show too many teeth. "Thank you, Dean Brightcut. I'm excited to be here." The Dean's crystal surface flickered with colored lights. "Nervous, maybe?" "Yes, well, Professor Wells will show you to your quarters. Classes begin tomorrow." With that, the Dean and other officials quickly left, their movements just a bit too fast to be casual. "Don't worry about them," Professor Wells said as she led Michael through the station's corridors. "They'll get used to you. I went through the same thing when I first started teaching here 3 years ago." They passed other students in the halls. Some quickly moved aside, others stared with obvious curiosity. A group of floating gas-filled beings actually changed color when they saw him. "It's like being a celebrity," Michael said, "but one everyone's afraid of." Professor Wells laughed. "Give it time. Show them what humans are really like. Not just strong, but kind, intelligent, and willing to learn. That's why you're here." She stopped at a door marked Earth Standard Quarters. "Get some rest," she said. "Tomorrow's going to be quite interesting." She handed him his student ID and room key. "And Michael, remember, you're not just a student here. You're Earth's first ambassador to the next generation of the galaxy. Make us proud." Michael watched her walk away, then turned to his new room. Through the window, he could see the stars, the same ones he'd seen from Earth, but from a completely different angle. Somewhere out there, his home planet was just another point of light. He took a deep breath. Tomorrow would be his first day at an alien school. Time to show the galaxy that humans were more than just the scary creatures from a Deathworld. Time to make history. Michael's first challenge came as soon as he tried to sit on his new bed. The mattress, designed for standard alien comfort, crushed completely flat under his earthborn weight. He sighed and pulled out his reinforced sleeping pad from his luggage. A soft chime came from his door. "Hello, human roommate." The voice was musical, almost like wind chimes. "Come in," Michael called, trying to keep his voice gentle. The door slid open to reveal a tall, plant-like being. It had light green skin that seemed to glow slightly, and leaves that swayed even though there was no breeze. Two large golden eyes blinked at Michael. "I am Blue Leaf," the alien said, then quickly added, "But please, call me Brian. I've chosen this Earth name for better cultural exchange." The alien's leaves rustled nervously. "I am your assigned roommate." Michael smiled his practiced, closed-mouth smile. "Nice to meet you, Brian. I'm Michael Thompson." He noticed Brian was hovering near the door. "You don't have to be scared. I won't hurt you." "Oh, no. Brian's leaves turned a deeper shade of green. "Embarrassment, maybe. It's just, we Flotians are naturally cautious. Our homeworld has very few predators, you see." He finally floated into the room, his feet never quite touching the ground. "Earth has lots of them," Michael said, then immediately wished he hadn't when he saw Brian's leaves quiver. "But humans aren't predators anymore. We're explorers, learners." Brian seemed to relax a little. "Yes, that's what our cultural briefing said. Oh, we should hurry. First class starts in 20 minutes." Their first class was Advanced Xenotechnology. Michael followed Brian through the station's curved hallways, trying to ignore the way other students scattered at his approach. The classroom itself was a large, circular room with floating desks that adjusted to each species' needs. "Welcome, students," the teacher said. She looked like a collection of glowing orbs arranged in a rough humanoid shape. "I am Professor Bright. Today we'll discuss—" Oh, she noticed Michael. "Our new human student. How fascinating. Please, tell us about Earth technology." Michael stood up, feeling everyone's eyes on him. "Well, we've just developed faster-than-light travel about 10 years ago." A ripple of something like laughter went through the classroom. Even Professor Bright's orbs flickered with amusement. "How quaint. Don't worry, you'll catch up. Now, today's lesson is about quantum phase manipulation." The rest of the morning passed in a blur of advanced concepts Michael barely understood. During lunch break, he sat alone in the cafeteria, poking at his Earth-specific meal pack while watching the amazing variety of aliens eating their own specialized foods. Quite a sight, isn't it? Professor Wells appeared beside his table. "Mind if I join you? It's nice to see another human face." "They're all so advanced," Michael said quietly. "Maybe I don't belong here." "Nonsense. You know what I noticed in class today. While everyone else was accepting the theories without question, you were the only one asking why and how. That's the human advantage, Michael. We question things." Their conversation was interrupted by a station-wide announcement. "All students report to physical education assessment." The gym was a massive zero-gravity chamber. The teacher, a being that looked like a metal spider, announced they would be testing reaction times. Students had to catch floating balls while maneuvering in zero-G. Most aliens moved gracefully, using minimal energy. Then came Michael's turn. His Earth-evolved muscles and reflexes kicked in. He shot through the space like a rocket, catching balls with lightning speed. When he finished, he realized everyone was staring at him in shock. "That was impressive," the teacher said carefully, "and somewhat concerning." "Sorry," Michael said. "I can try to move slower." "No need to apologize for excellence. Professor Wells called from the observation deck. This is why humans are here, to share our different abilities. As they left the gym, Brian floated up beside Michael. That was amazing. I've never seen anyone move so fast. His leaves weren't trembling anymore. Would you like to study together later? I could help with quantum physics, and maybe you could teach me about human reflexes. Michael grinned, forgetting to hide his teeth. To his surprise, Brian didn't flinch. Maybe, just maybe, this could work after all. 2 weeks into the semester, Michael sat in xenobiology class, trying not to feel nervous as Professor Wells announced the partner assignments for their big project. And finally, she said, Michael Thompson will work with Lisa Crystal Song. Michael turned to see a crystalline being catching the light in rainbow patterns. She looked like a human-sized diamond with delicate facets that shifted and moved as she walked. He had noticed her before. She was one of the few students who didn't immediately back away when he came near. "Hello, Earth student," Lisa said, her voice chiming like small bells. "I look forward to our collaboration." "Just call me Michael," he said with a smile. To his surprise, her crystal surface rippled with colors. Was that a laugh? "Very well, Michael. Our project is to study each other's homeworld ecosystems. I must admit, I've been hoping to be paired with you. Earth is fascinating." Professor Wells came by their table. "Lisa is one of our top students in biological sciences," she told Michael. "And Lisa, you'll find that humans have a unique perspective on survival adaptations." Their first study session was in the library. Michael pulled up images of Earth's wildlife on his tablet. Lisa's surface flickered with amazement as she watched videos of lions hunting, eagles soaring, and whales breaching. "Your world is so dynamic," she said. "My home planet's surface is mostly crystal formations. Life exists in slow patterns, growing over centuries. Nothing moves quickly or hunts like this." "Is that why everyone here is so scared of humans?" Michael asked. Lisa's surface rippled thoughtfully. "We fear what we don't understand. Most species in the Federation evolved in stable environments. Quick movement usually means danger. But," her colors shifted to a warm pink, "you're helping me see it differently." Over the next few days, they worked together for hours. Michael learned about Lisa's crystalline world, where life forms grew like living gems, absorbing light and slowly expanding over thousands of years. In return, he explained Earth's complex food chains and rapid evolution. One afternoon, as they were studying in the library, an emergency alarm went off in a nearby science lab. A containment field was failing, threatening to release harmful radiation. While other students backed away in panic, Michael's quick human reflexes kicked in. He ran to the lab's control panel, remembering the emergency protocols from his safety training. His fingers flew over the controls, rerouting power and stabilizing the field before any radiation could escape. The whole thing took less than 30 seconds. When it was over, he found Lisa watching him with her crystalline surface glowing in bright colors. "That was amazing," she said. "You didn't even hesitate. On my world, we would have needed an hour-long committee meeting just to decide what to do." "It's not amazing," Michael said. "It's just how humans are. On Earth, hesitating usually means you don't survive." "But you didn't use that speed for hunting or fighting," Lisa pointed out. "You used it to protect others. Perhaps that's something we need to understand about humans. Your predator traits can be used for more than just being predators." That evening, as they worked on their project presentation, other students began stopping by their table. Word had spread about the lab incident. Instead of fear, Michael now saw curiosity in their eyes. A floating gas being asked about Earth's atmosphere. A multi-limbed insectoid wanted to know about human cities. Even a group of energy beings, who usually stayed far away from physical creatures, drifted over to listen. "See," Lisa said, her surface glowing warmly. "They're starting to understand, just like I did." Professor Wells, watching from her office doorway, smiled as she saw Michael surrounded by curious aliens, all asking questions and learning from each other. This was exactly what the exchange program was meant to do. As Michael answered questions about Earth, he realized something important. Maybe being from a death world didn't have to be scary. Maybe it just meant he had different skills to share, skills that could help others instead of frightening them. He caught Lisa's crystalline gaze, and her surface flickered with what he now recognized as a smile. Together, they were building bridges between worlds, one biology lesson at a time. Michael woke to the sound of warning alarms. The room's lights were flashing red, and the air felt wrong, thinner somehow. His Deathworld instincts kicked in immediately. Brian. He called out to his roommate. The plant-like alien was drooping, his leaves turning a sickly yellow. What's wrong? Air changing, Brian whispered weakly. Temperature rising. Can't maintain. Photosynthesis. Michael checked the room's environmental display. The life support systems were failing across the entire station. Temperature was rising. Air pressure was dropping, and atmospheric mix was shifting dangerously. Warning, the station's computer announced. Life support malfunction in sectors 3 through 7. All students report to emergency shelters. Michael helped Brian float toward the door. In the hallway, chaos reigned. Different alien species were reacting badly to the changing conditions. The crystalline students were developing cracks, the gas-based beings were having trouble maintaining their form, and the liquid-based aliens were starting to boil. Listen up, Michael shouted, his voice cutting through the panic. Growing up on Earth had taught him how to handle emergencies. Everyone needs to move to the emergency shelters. Help those who are struggling. To his surprise, the aliens listened. Maybe it was his commanding tone, or maybe they were just too scared to do anything else. Either way, they began moving in a more organized manner. Michael spotted Lisa nearby, her crystal surface showing stress fractures. Lisa, can you help coordinate? We need to account for everyone. Yes, she chimed, though her voice sounded strained. But Michael, the emergency shelters don't have enough capacity for all species at once. Some will have to wait outside. Then we prioritize, Michael said firmly. Most vulnerable first. Who needs the most stable environment? Professor Wells appeared through the crowd, helping a group of younger students. Michael, thank goodness. The engineering team is overwhelmed. They need help reaching the main environmental controls, but the access tunnels are too hot for most species now. Michael understood immediately. Earth's harsh environment had made humans incredibly adaptable. High heat, thin air, and physical strain. These were conditions he could handle better than any other species here. I'm on it, he said. Lisa, you and Brian coordinate the evacuation. Professor, can you guide me to the access point? Professor Wells nodded and led him to a maintenance hatch. The controls are 3 levels down. Be careful. The temperature in there is approaching 40 degrees Celsius. Michael grinned. That's just a hot summer day on Earth. He climbed into the access tunnel. The heat hit him like a wall, but his body was built to handle far worse. He moved quickly through the cramped space, using his natural strength and endurance to overcome obstacles that would have stopped most aliens. Finally, he reached the environmental control room. The displays showed multiple system failures. Thanks to his recent studies, he understood enough about the technology to see the problem. Several key power relays had overloaded. Engineering team, he called through his communicator. I'm at the controls. Guide me through the repair sequence. For the next 20 minutes, Michael worked under the engineer's instructions. His quick human reflexes and strong hands proved perfect for the delicate work. One by one, the systems came back online. When he emerged from the access tunnel, sweating but successful, he found a crowd waiting. Brian's leaves had perked up in the normalizing atmosphere. Lisa's crystal surface was smooth again. Both of them looked at him with new understanding. You saved us, a small gas being said in awe. But humans are supposed to be dangerous. We are dangerous, Michael said, wiping sweat from his forehead. But being dangerous isn't the same as being bad. On Earth, the ability to handle danger often means being able to protect others. Professor Wells stepped forward, smiling proudly. Today we all learned something important about humans. Their Deathworld traits, their strength, their quick reactions, their ability to withstand harsh conditions. These aren't just survival tools. They're abilities that can be used to help others. As the crowd dispersed, Lisa approached Michael. Her surface was glowing with new colors he'd never seen before. "I think," she chimed softly, "we need to update the Federation's classification of humans. You're not just Deathworld predators. You're Deathworld protectors." Michael smiled, too tired to even worry about showing his teeth. Around him, aliens who had once feared him now looked on with respect and gratitude. Maybe this crisis had done more for human-alien relations than any number of cultural exchange programs could have achieved. A week after the life support incident, the halls of Station Lumina were buzzing with excitement. Posters floated in midair, announcing the annual Inter-Academy competition. It was the biggest event of the school year, where students from different academic stations competed in various challenges. "You should enter, Michael," Brian said during breakfast. His leaves were swaying with excitement. "After how you handled the station crisis, everyone's talking about you." Michael looked at the registration forms on his tablet. "I don't know. The rules say something about maintaining fair competition between species. Won't my human abilities be a problem?" Lisa's crystal surface sparkled as she joined them. "Actually, I've been studying the rulebook. There's nothing that says you can't compete. It just means you need to find creative ways to make it fair." Professor Wells stopped by their table. "Lisa's right. In fact, I think it's important that you compete. Show everyone that humans can participate in galactic society while being mindful of our differences." That afternoon, Michael signed up for 3 events: problem solving, team strategy, and physical challenge. For each one, he worked with the judges to design special handicaps for himself. "These are interesting choices," the head judge, a floating cloud of golden light, said as she reviewed his entry. "For the physical challenge, you'll wear gravity weights to match the strongest non-human competitor." "Yes," Michael nodded. "And in problem solving, I'll use only basic tools while others can use advanced tech. It's about finding solutions with limited resources, like we often do on Earth." The day of the tournament arrived. The station's main arena was packed with students from 5 different academic stations. Michael stood with his team: Brian, Lisa, and 2 other students who had become friends after the crisis. The first event was problem solving. Competitors had to find a way to repair a damaged communications array. While other students used quantum computers and AI assistants, Michael worked with simple tools. His Earth-trained mind, used to finding solutions in harsh conditions, helped him spot a physical fix others had overlooked. Second place to Michael Thompson of Station Lumina, the announcer called. The crowd buzzed with surprise. A human had placed high without using advanced technology. Team strategy was next. Each team had to navigate a complex maze while solving puzzles. Michael's quick reactions were balanced by the weights he wore, but his team had another advantage. They trusted each other. Brian used his floating ability to scout ahead. Lisa's crystal surface provided light in dark sections, and Michael's problem-solving skills helped them solve puzzles quickly. First place, Station Lumina Team won. The final event was the physical challenge. Michael wore heavy weights that made his movements as slow as the strongest non-human competitors. The course involved climbing, swimming through zero-G zones, and solving physical puzzles. Halfway through, another competitor got stuck in a gravity well. Without hesitating, Michael changed course to help, even though it cost him time. When they finished together, the crowd cheered. Third place in physical challenge, Michael Thompson. During the award ceremony, the head judge made a special announcement. "This year's competition has taught us something important. We've seen a human competitor not only participate fairly but demonstrate values we all share: teamwork, helping others, and finding creative solutions. Michael stood on the platform with his team, medals around their necks. He could see Professor Wells beaming proudly in the audience. Nearby, a group of young aliens was watching him with admiration instead of fear. Maybe that's what this was really about, Lisa said, her surface glowing warmly. Not just winning, but showing how different species can compete together fairly. You know what's funny? Michael said. On Earth, we have this old saying. It's not whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game. Brian's leaves rustled with laughter. That's very wise for a Deathworld species. As they left the arena, Michael noticed something had changed. The other students weren't moving away from him anymore. Instead, many were coming up to congratulate him and his team. Some even asked about Earth's sports and games. You've done something remarkable, Professor Wells told him later. You've shown that humans can be both strong and fair, competitive and considerate. That's a victory bigger than any tournament. Michael smiled, watching his alien friends chatting excitedly about their wins. He was starting to understand that being human in galactic society wasn't about hiding his abilities. It was about using them wisely and fairly. The excitement of the tournament victory lasted only 2 days. Michael was studying in the library with Lisa when Professor Wells rushed in, her face worried. Michael, Lisa, come with me, she said quietly. And bring Brian too. We need to talk somewhere private. They found Brian in the greenhouse section and followed Professor Wells to her office. She sealed the door and activated a privacy field. The station malfunction wasn't an accident, she said. I've been investigating, and I found something disturbing. She showed them security footage of someone tampering with the environmental controls before the crisis. But who would do that? Brian's leaves trembled. They put everyone in danger. Look at the timestamp, Professor Wells pointed. This happened right after Michael's physical education assessment, when everyone saw how quick and strong humans can be. Michael felt sick to his stomach. Someone tried to hurt everyone just to make humans look bad. Lisa's crystal surface darkened. The saboteur probably thought the crisis would make Michael panic and act violently. They wanted to prove humans are too dangerous for the Federation. Exactly. Professor Wells nodded. There's a group in the Federation that opposed Earth's membership. They call themselves the Pure Space Movement. They believe Deathworld species are too unpredictable. But the plan backfired, Brian said. Michael saved everyone instead. Yes, but they're not done trying. Professor Wells pulled up more data. I found messages suggesting they're planning something during the final exhibition next week, when all the Federation education officials will be here. Michael leaned forward. What can we do? We should tell station security. We need proof first, Lisa chimed in. Real evidence that links these people to the sabotage. Professor Wells smiled. That's why I came to you for. You've shown you can work together, using each of your species' unique abilities. We need those skills now. They spent the next few hours making a plan. Lisa's crystalline nature meant she could record conversations without being noticed. Brian could float through ventilation systems to place tiny sensors. Michael's quick reactions and strength meant he could act fast if they found anything dangerous. Over the next few days, they gathered information carefully. They found suspicious meetings in unused classrooms. They tracked unusual shipments to the station. Lisa recorded conversations about showing everyone the truth about humans. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. During one of their investigation sessions, they heard a knock at the door. It was Dean Brightcut. I couldn't help but notice your activities, the crystalline Dean said. And I think you should see this. He showed them records of unauthorized access to the station's systems, all traced back to a group of officials who had strongly opposed Earth joining the Federation. Why are you helping us? Michael asked. The Dean's surface flickered. Because I was wrong about humans. I was scared at first. But I've watched you, Michael. You've shown that being strong doesn't mean being dangerous. In fact, sometimes it means being able to protect others. Armed with the Dean's evidence, they took everything to station security. The security chief, a being made of shifting metal, reviewed their findings carefully. "This is serious," she said, "but we have a problem. If we move too quickly, the conspirators might panic and do something dangerous. We need to catch them in the act." "The final exhibition," Michael said. "They're planning something then. We can be ready." Professor Wells nodded. "But we'll have to be careful. One wrong move could cause a diplomatic incident between Earth and the Federation." As they left the security office, Michael looked at his friends, a floating plant being, a living crystal, and his human teacher. Each of them was different, but they worked together perfectly. "Whatever these people are planning," he said, "they don't understand what really makes humans dangerous. It's not our strength or speed. It's our ability to work together and protect what matters." Lisa's surface glowed warmly. "And this time, we'll be ready for them." They had 3 days until the final exhibition, 3 days to prepare for whatever the pure space movement was planning. But Michael wasn't worried. After all, Earth creatures were at their best when facing a challenge. The day of the final exhibition arrived. The station's main hall was packed with students, teachers, and Federation officials from across the galaxy. Security teams were hidden throughout the crowd, ready for trouble. Michael stood with his project team, trying to look calm. Their display about Earth's ecosystems had drawn quite a crowd. Lisa was explaining how Earth's rapid evolution created such diverse life forms, while Brian showed how Earth plants adapted to different conditions. "Quite an impressive presentation," a tall, silver-skinned alien said, approaching their display. Michael recognized him from the security briefing. Ambassador Dex, one of the suspected pure space movement leaders. "Thank you, Ambassador," Michael said politely. "We're showing how different species can learn from each other." The ambassador's eyes narrowed. "Yes, quite. Though some might say certain species are too different to mix safely with galactic society." Before Michael could respond, the lights flickered. A moment later, warning alarms began blaring. "Emergency alert," the station's computer announced. "Containment breach in experimental labs. Dangerous specimens releasing in 5 minutes." Panic erupted in the crowd. Michael caught Lisa's eye. This had to be the pure space movement's plan. They wanted to create chaos and see how the dangerous human would react. Ambassador Dex stepped back, looking satisfied. "How unfortunate. I wonder how your Earth instincts will respond to this crisis." But Michael had been preparing for this. He caught Professor Wells' signal across the room and grabbed the microphone from their display. "Everyone stay calm." His voice cut through the panic. "This is exactly what the saboteurs want. Chaos and fear. But we're better than that. We can handle this together." To everyone's surprise, the crowd quieted. They'd all heard about how the human student had helped during the life support crisis. "Brian, Lisa, initiate Plan Delta," Michael said. His friends moved quickly. Brian floated up to check the air currents, while Lisa's surface began recording everything. "Security teams," Michael continued, "the containment breach is a distraction. Check the station's core systems." The security chief's voice crackled over the comm. "He's right. We've detected unauthorized access to the main computer." Ambassador Dex's silver face showed anger. He pulled out a small device. "You meddling human. You're ruining everything. We'll show everyone how dangerous your kind really is." But before he could activate the device, something surprising happened. Dean Brightcut stepped forward, his crystalline body glowing bright enough to temporarily blind the ambassador. Brian created a gust of wind that knocked the device from his hand. Lisa caught it with her crystal surface, preserving it as evidence. Security teams moved in, surrounding the ambassador and his accomplices. The station's computer announced that all systems were secure. The containment breach had been stopped before any real damage could occur. "This was your big plan?" Michael asked the ambassador as security led him away. "Create a crisis and hope I'd lose control. That's not how humans work. We don't just react on instinct. We think, we plan, we work together. Professor Wells stepped forward. The pure space movement failed to understand something important about humans. Yes, we evolved on a dangerous world. Yes, we developed strength and quick reactions. But we also developed intelligence, teamwork, and the ability to protect others. The Federation officials had watched everything. The head of the Education Council, a being of pure energy, floated forward. "Today we witnessed something remarkable," she announced. "Not just the exposure of a plot against peace, but proof that different species can work together." The human student didn't act alone. He coordinated with his friends, trusted his teachers, and protected everyone, not just himself. The crowd began applauding. Michael saw young aliens looking at him with admiration instead of fear. Even some of the officials who had doubted Earth's Federation membership seemed impressed. Lisa's surface glowed with happy colors. "You know what this means. No one can doubt humans' place in the Federation now." Brian's leaves rustled in agreement. They tried to prove humans were too dangerous for galactic society. Instead, they proved why we need them. Michael smiled, watching the security teams lead away the conspirators. The pure space movement had wanted to show everyone what humans did when faced with danger. Well, they had, just not in the way they planned. 1 month after the final exhibition incident, Michael stood in his room, packing his things. His year at the Stellar Academy was coming to an end. The reinforced bed that had seemed so awkward on his first day now felt familiar. The walls that had once felt strange were covered with photos of him with his alien friends. "Need help with the heavy items?" Lisa asked from the doorway, her crystal surface glowing softly. "Though I suppose everything is light for a human." Michael laughed. "Actually, I could use help sorting through all these data crystals. I still can't read some of the alien languages." Brian floated in, his leaves a bright, happy green. "Can you believe it's been a whole year? The Federation Education Council is arriving today for the final review of the Human Exchange Program." "I know," Michael said, trying not to feel nervous. The future of human students in Federation schools depended on their decision. Professor Wells appeared at the door. "Michael, it's time. The council is ready." The main hall was packed with students, teachers, and officials. Michael saw many familiar faces: the security chief who had helped stop the pure space movement, Dean Brightcut, whose crystalline surface shone with pride, and even some of the alien students who had once been terrified of him. The head of the Education Council, the energy being who had witnessed the final exhibition, floated to the center of the room. "1 year ago," she began, "we started an experiment. Could a human student, a being from a Class 12 Deathworld, safely attend a Federation Academy?" Many doubted. Some even tried to sabotage the program. "Today, we have our answer." She gestured to a large display screen showing records from the past year. Michael Thompson has not only maintained excellent academic performance, but has also enriched our community. He showed us the Deathworld traits: quick thinking, physical capability, adaptability, can be used to protect and help others. His friendship with students from various species has proven that understanding can overcome fear. The council members all glowed in agreement. Therefore, we are not only confirming the Human Exchange Program, we are expanding it. Next year, 20 human students will join Federation academies. Additionally, we are establishing a new program for Federation students to study on Earth. The hall erupted in applause. Michael felt Lisa's crystal hand touch his shoulder, while Brian's leaves rustled excitedly above him. "I have one question," the council head continued, turning to Michael. "What would you tell these future human students about attending a Federation academy?" Michael thought carefully before answering. "I would tell them that being from Earth, being strong, being fast, being tough, that's not something to be ashamed of. But it's also not something to boast about. It's a responsibility. We have these abilities because our world taught us to survive. Now we can use them to help others survive too." Later that day, during the farewell ceremony, Michael's friends gathered around him. "You must visit my crystal forests," Lisa said. "They're nothing like Earth's forests, but they're beautiful in their own way. And you have to see my floating gardens," Brian added. "I've been growing some Earth plants there. They're surprisingly adaptable." Professor Wells watched with a smile. "You know, Michael, when you first arrived, some people thought keeping a human in the station was like keeping a dangerous animal in a cage. Now they understand. Humans aren't just predators from a death world. You're protectors, explorers, friends." As Michael prepared to board the transport ship home, he took one last look at Station Lumina. The giant silver snowflake that had seemed so alien a year ago now felt like a second home. "Earth isn't alone anymore," he said to his friends. "And neither are we. Maybe that's what this whole year was really about, learning that no matter what world we come from, we're all just trying to understand each other." Dean Brightcut stepped forward. "You've taught us as much as you've learned, Michael Thompson. Thanks to you, the galaxy is a little less afraid and a little more united." Michael hugged his friends goodbye, carefully with Lisa, gently with Brian, and walked onto the ship. As Earth's first student in a Federation academy, he had faced fear, prejudice, and danger. But he had also found friendship, understanding, and a new way of seeing his place in the galaxy. The next group of human students would have an easier time. And somewhere out there, Federation students were preparing to visit Earth, ready to learn about the death world that had produced not just predators, but protectors. It was a good start.